か。The presidency of America is often said to be one of the most powerful positions in the world. But of the U.S. presidents accused of that power, only one has left office as a result. Does Richard Nixon deserve to remember for modern scandal that ended his presidency? Find out as we put disgraced president legacy on trial in history. Richard Nixon. Order. Now he's a defendant today. Some kind of clock? No, Your Honor. This is Richard Milhouse Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, who served from 1969 to 1974. Hold on. As we are number wait for President Joe. Where you see President Nixon resigning for the good of the nation. The present president who took after he resigned because he impeached and he didn't feel a extent of his crime exposed. And what was these crimes, Your Honor? The Watergate scandal, one of the grossest abuses of presidential power in history. Nixon's men broke into Democratic National Committee headquarters to wiretap the offices and dig up dirt on an opponent for the re-election. It was a Towers did not order this burglary, but as soon as he learned of it, he did everything covered up, while lying about it for months. Oh yes, but it was for good of the nation. He did during his time in office could have done so much more with that scandal, jeopardizing his accomplishment. Yes, Your Honor. Did you know it was President Nixon who proposed the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency and signed an environmental policy after into law? Not the Marine Mammal Protection Act, the Expansion Clean Air Act. Sounds pretty progressive. Hardly. Nixon presidential campaign causes the resentment of the civil rights movement. Speaking on civil rights, the prosecution may be surprised to learn he signed the Title IX and discrimination in education and Gazi Peter. That's good. Concerned students after war National Guard as a camp state. Instead called them protesting the Vietnam War. Overhead had a campaign on ending, but he ended. He ended it 2 years after taking office. His campaign had sabotaged by previous presidents, urging the South Vietnamese government to hold out support for the term, which I might add didn't materialize. 4 years in which 20,000 more US troops, over 1 million Vietnamese, died for nothing. A presidential candidate interfering in the tourism? It is Iwana. A clear violation of the Logan Act 1799. I think we forget President Nixon's many foreign policy achievements. He normalized ties with China, forcing economic ties continue today. Are we so sure that's a good thing? And therefore, he supported the coup in Chile that left democratically elected president. Allende, the brutal military dictator, is a fight against the communism. A Chinese reason built communism to begin with was just fear the lower class rising up against the rich. President Nixon could never predict the violence of Pinochet's regime, and the communists being neglecting the poor. All American families still are radical concept today, and he even pushed for healthcare reform, just kind of past 40 years later. I'm still convincing about is he a crook or not. The president may have violated a law or two, but was the real harm compared all he accomplished in office? The harm was to democracy itself. The whole point of idea is creating and promote is that leaders are accountable people, and they, whatever reason, those ideas are undermined. Obvious the job. Many politicians have compromised some principles to achieve results. Threaten the very public. Those who do so may find their entire put on trial. Imagine you're watching a runaway trolley bearing down the tracks, straight toward the 5 workers who can't escape. They happen to be stood next to the switch that bites the trolley onto the second track. Here's the problem. That track has a worker on too. Just one. What do you do? Do you sacrifice save 5? This is a trolley program, a version of escape drama that philosopher Philip devised in 1967. It's popular because it was accessing do we pick the best outcome or stick to more prohibit causing someone death? In one survey, about 90% of respondents said it's okay to lift the switch from anchor down to save file, and others, including a virtual reality simulation of the drama, have found similar results. These judgments are consistent philosophical principles of utilitarianism. Moral cost decision as one maximizes as well-being for the greatest number of people. The 5 lives outweigh one, even if achieving requires condemning someone. But people don't always take the utilitarian view. It's changing the trolley problem. This time, you're standing on the bridge over the track as a runaway truck approaches. Now there's a second track, but there is on the bridge next to you. If you push him over, his body will slip through, saving the 5 lives. But here's the to utilitarian, the decision is actually same. Lose 1 life to save 5. But in this case, only about 10% of people said that it's okay to throw the man onto the track. Our instinct tells us deliberately causing someone's death is different knowing to die as collateral damage. It just feels wrong. For reasons that I have to explain. This intersection between ethics and psychology is truly problem. The drama is many variations revealing that what we think right or wrong depends on factors other than logical weighing of the process. For example, men are more likely, it says, to push the man over the bridge. So people watch comedy clip, saw the experiment, and one virtual reality study sacrificed the men than women. Researchers have studied the brain activity thinking through the classic and bridge versions. Both scenarios activate areas of the brain involved in conscious decision making and emotion, but in the bridge version, the emotional response is much stronger, so it's activated into the brain, processing internal conflict. What's the difference? One explanation is that pushing someone to their death feels more personal, activating emotion to killing another person. But we feel conflicted because it's thoroughly allergy, criticized philosophers and psychologists. They argue that reveal anything because its premise unrealistic. The study participants don't take it seriously. That new technology is made with car analysis more important than ever. For example, driverless car may have to handle choices like causing accident to prevent a larger one. The government researching autonomous military drones decisions casualties to attack a high-value target. If we have to decide in advance how to value human life and judge the credibility. So researchers who study autonomous systems are collaborating philosophy to address complex problems of putting ethics into machines. Each goes show that even hypothetical dramas can wind up on the collision course with the real world. In Nigeria, psychologists are reflecting an design test for children fostering in school in France, designed to determine which children required individualized attention. The method formed the basis of the IQ test. Beginning in the late 19th century, researchers hypothesized that cognitive lack of working memory and visual spatial skill reflected an underlying general intelligence, or GFAC, and combined the result into a single score. Questions are adjusted each age group in chairs. There is dividing someone's score by their age and multiple or IQ. Today, a score of 100 represents the average of a sample population, with 68% of population scoring with 15.100. Simone Binet thought the skills the test assessed general intelligence, both damage and not using single agreed definition. At that time, many people believed in eugenics, the idea that desirable and desirable genetic traits could and should be controlled in humans through the selective breeding. There are many problems with this line of thinking. Non-the intelligence was not only fixed and inherited, but also linked to a person's race. Under the influence of eugenics, scientists use the result of the military institute to make erroneous claims, studying racial groups, intellectuals, without taking into account many of the recruits tested new immigrants in the United States who lacked formal education or English. They created an erroneous intelligence hierarchy of ethnic groups. The intent of the eugenics IQ test influenced not only science, but policy as well. In 1924, the state of Virginia created policy allowing serialization of the raw IQ score, a decision the United States Supreme Court upheld. In Nazi Germany, the government authorized the of children based on raw IQ. Discrimination IQ tests were challenged on both moral and scientific grounds. Environmental impact on IQ. For example, as IQ tests are periodically recalibrated over the 20th century, new generation is consistently higher on all tests than each previous generation. This phenomenon, known as the Flynn effect, happened too much because inherited evolutionary Instead, the cause were environmental, improved education, better healthcare, and better nutrition. In the mid-20th century, psychologists also attempted to use IQ tests to evaluate things as general intelligence, particularly skill tests for depression and other psychiatric conditions. These diagnoses relied on pattern judgment about substance to determine IQ. Practice rate does not information today employ many similar design elements and types of questions as the early test, though we have but similarly providing as being subtest score is still sometimes used to diagnose learning disabilities against adverse many experts. Psychologists around the world still use IQ tests to identify intellectual disabilities, and the result can be used to determine appropriate educational support, job training, and assisted living. IQ test results have been used to justify horrific policies and scientifically baseless ideologies. That doesn't mean test itself worthless. In fact, it problem-solving skill is but that isn't the same thing. Imagine a person's potential. Complicated political, historical, scientific, and cultural issues that IQ testing. More and more research agree on this point, and resulting non individual categories. Speaking of questionable testing practice, should we get rid of standards? Find out what these tests actually measure is this video, or learn more about information and those things watch is this video. Could upnight its helping end. This progressive move rose on popularity in the game's post-summer San Francisco prominent politicians. But in 1977, brainwashing and abuse, Jones moved with several hundred followers to establish the community of Jonestown in Guyana. Built as a utopian paradise, the colony was more (900 men and women died after being forced to drink foreign revered. That grisly image has since immortalized as shorthand slang for single-minded, cult-like thinking dead drunk Kool-Aid. Today, there are thousands of cults around the world. It's important to know two things about them. First, not all cults are religious. Some are political, therapy-based, focused on self-improvement or otherwise. And the flip side, not all religions are what we're referring to as a cult. What exactly defines our modern understanding of cults? Why do people join them? Broadly speaking, a cult group or movement is shared commitment to usually extreme ideology that typically embody charismatic leader and refuting deadly Johnstown or Heaven's Gate, which ended in mass suicide in 39 people in 1997. Most cults share some basic characteristics. A typical cult requires a high level of commitment for its members. It maintains a strict hierarchy, separating unsuspecting supporters, crews, mocking. It claims to provide answers through its doctrine, random, quiet recipe that shapes a new member into a true believer. And most importantly, uses both formal and informal systems, influence and control to keep members obedient without tolerant for internal disagreement or external scrutiny. You might wonder, some of the descriptions might also apply to established religions. In fact, the word cult religion described people who cultivated the worship of the god by performing rituals, maintaining temples. But in time, it came to mean assist the motion many religions began as cults, until in the public role society as they grew. A modern cult, by contrast, separates its members from others, rather than provide guidelines for members to live better lives. A cult controls them. And living arrangement. Cults also demand obedience to human leaders, who tend to be highly persuasive people. Motivated by money, sex, and power, or all three. Cult uses personal charisma to attract initial forward. Further expansion works like a pyramid scheme, earlier members recruiting new ones. Cults are skilled and knowing who to target, often focusing on neutral areas, whether recent, personal, or professional roles. Loneliness and desire for meaning make one susceptible. Friendly people are from community set up, establish relationships. In fact, more than 2,000 cult members are recruited by friends, family members, or co-workers, with invitations harder to refuse. Once in cult, members are subjected to multiple forms of indoctrination. Some prey on natural inclination, mimic social behaviors, or follow others. Other methods may be more intense, using techniques of coercive persuasion, involving shame and fear. And in many cases, members may willingly submit, as do desire belong and comes to war. The cult environment discourages critical thinking, making it hard to avoid. Everyone around you is modeling absolutely face. The resulting internal conflict, known as dissonance, keeps you trapped as each compromise makes it more painful to admit you've been deceived. And the most common, still harmful, by denying basic freedom of thought. Emotional growth, a particular problem for children, where deprived normal development is active and milestone. Nevertheless, many cult members eventually find a way out, either through realization, helpful influence, cult for the past, due to external pressure on scandals. Many cults may be hard to identify, and for some, the brave, no matter how strange, are protected under religious freedom. But when the practices involve harassment, threats, illegal activities, or abuse, the law can intervene. Believing innocence comes at the cost of your family and friends, and sometimes sacrifice your relationships or morality for the greater good. They are most likely exploiting you for their own. By one is the biggest number. Player 2 wins. Let's try twice more. Here, player 1 wins. And here, it's player 2. So who do you wanna be? At first glance, it may seem like a player 1 has the advantage, since if anyone 4 numbers is the highest, but actually, player 2 has an eclipse 56 each match. One way you can get by rolling 2 dice, and then count the 1 each player win. These are possibility of the Buddha through possible combination. If you roll 4 and 5, you mark 2 vectors. 3 1 gives player 1 a victory here. There are 36 possibility combinations, each with exactly the same chance of happening. Mathematicians call this equal probable event. Now we can see why the first glance is wrong. If the number has 4 winning number, player 2 only has 2. The chance of each number being greatest is not the same. There is only one 66. The highest number is 11 and 36. 6, the highest. Player 1 will Player 2 0. Out of the 36. Theoretical problem and how you figure identity of the possibilities and each outcome. So if set on the desert island playing death forever, player 2 bench reveal 56 and player 1 will win the 44%. But then of course the balloon will long gone. I think it was a mistake. My mistake. I don't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. I need this. 两组。Huck, white tile. I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. was a mistake. I should discard this. What? Oh, really? Of course I didn't use it. Thank you. It was a mistake. I think that it was a mistake. Of course. Uh-oh. I don't care about that. Naturally, just cannot transform this mistake my centuries listening you. Remember, trash process have physics scientists reading some suggest it was a mistake. minus That was my mistake.